In a world of noise, the man who speaks the most possesses the least. True authority isn't found in what you say, but in the vacuum you create when you refuse to participate in the chaos. The vacuum of power. Imagine standing in a room where the air is thick with expectation. Someone has crossed a line, perhaps a subtle dismissal or an outright interruption. Your pulse quickens. Your ego demands a defense. You feel that to survive this friction, you must speak, justify, or retaliate. You are wrong. In the high-stakes theater of human interaction, noise is a leak of power. When we observe John Wick within the mahogany walls of the Continental, we see a masterclass in effective sovereignty. He does not rush. He does not explain. He is a constant in a world of variables. He understands that the person who requires the most words to be understood is often the person with the least control. The fundamental error most people make is the System 1 mistake, the belief that social power is additive. We think we must add words, logic, and volume to fill the void created by another's aggression. This is a biological relic, an amygdala-driven reflex designed for physical survival, but catastrophic for social dominance. In a modern social landscape, this reaction is a tactical surrender. The moment you react instinctively, you grant the aggressor permission to dictate the tempo of your internal world. You are no longer the protagonist. You are a secondary character reacting to their script. Observe the target of a confrontation. The antagonist blusters. They use their hands to carve out space that doesn't belong to them. This is encroachment literacy in reverse, a desperate attempt to mask internal instability through external expansion. Their aggression isn't strength, it is emotional leakage. They are bleeding energy, and they are looking for you to provide the transfusion. When you maintain a zero response, you render their hook useless. You become a mirror, reflecting their frantic energy back upon them until they are exhausted by their own effort. Stop viewing conversation as a tennis match where the ball must always be returned. View it as a landscape where you are the gravity. You do not need to move to exert influence. Things simply fall toward you. We must learn to become the vacuum that exhausts the loud. The insight. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of absolute self-regulation. Think of one person who consistently baits you. Commit right now to giving them a zero response in your next encounter. Do not argue, do not explain, and do not flinch. Observe their reaction, not your own. Watch how quickly their power dissolves when it finds no surface to land on. The Continental Code, mastering the architecture of silence. To enter the Continental is to step into a sanctum where the chaotic laws of the street are replaced by a rigid code of silence. This is the present silence, not the quiet of a victim, but the stillness of a predator who has no need to speak. It is a tactical architecture built entirely upon the strategic pause. Observe John Wick's frame during a high-stakes confrontation. Most people exhibit leakage, subtle, nervous tics like shifting weight, darting eyes, or adjusting clothes. Wick employs spatial gravity. He anchors himself to the floor, becoming the heavy center of the room. By remaining perfectly still, he makes the other person's movement look like a frantic, undignified plea for attention. The protocol of presence. The present silence is an active protocol, not a passive state. By consciously activating your System 2, rational brain, you begin to see a social attack not as a threat, but as a series of desperate, inefficient maneuvers. When a superior speaks down to you, they are throwing stones into a lake. Your objective is to be that lake, so deep and vast that the stone sinks without a sound, leaving the surface entirely undisturbed. Control your breath. In the hallowed hallways of the Continental, Wick's breathing is a low-frequency hum. This is functional compartmentalization. By cooling your internal environment through rhythmic respiration, you starve the amygdala of the oxygen-rich panic it needs to override your logic. You remain the cold machine in a room full of heat. The 3-second rule. The core of this architecture is how you handle an interruption. In standard social scripts, an interruption is a loss of territory, a theft of the floor. In our protocol, an interruption is merely a data point. When interrupted, do not speak faster to reclaim your space. Stop. 1. Allow them to finish. Let their noise exhaust itself. 2. The strategic pause. Wait 3 full seconds. 3. The result. Only then, continue your original thought or choose to say nothing at all. In those 3 seconds, the aggressor experiences the exposure effect. They realize their noise has not moved you, tilted you, or even inconvenienced you. As the silence stretches, the power dynamic flips. They begin to fidget, over-explain, and backtrack. They transform from aggressor to supplicant without you lifting a finger. This is the Continental Code. You are not merely winning a fight, you are dissolving the very context in which a fight can occur. You are the stillness that defines the storm. The next time you are interrupted, apply the 3-second rule. Do not rush back in. Wait. Let the silence do the work for you. Effective sovereignty, the post-heroic code. The final transformation in the evolution of power occurs when we stop viewing defense as a battle and begin to see it as the restoration of order. This is the essence of post-heroic leadership. In the traditional narrative, the hero is defined by visible struggle, sweat, grit, and the loud clash of egos. But the post-heroic victor operates on a different frequency. They remain entirely unmoved while the obstacle, finding no purchase, eventually dissolves itself. The architecture of silence. Consider the archetype of the high-functioning professional, or the Wick figure. He does not linger for a celebratory victory or a hollow apology. He simply adjusts his jacket and returns to the shadows. This total lack of post-conflict friction is the ultimate sign of absolute power. When you master the architecture of silence, you no longer need to win the argument. Why? Because you have already won the environment. You are not a participant in the chaos, you are the container for it. The fixed point. In the post-heroic model, we understand a fundamental truth. By not speaking, we are preserving. We preserve our energy, our dignity, and our tactical advantage. You become a fixed point in a world of frantic movement. When others attempt to breach your boundaries, they are often seeking a reaction to define their own status. By denying them that reaction, you remain unmastered. You refuse to provide the mirror they need to validate their aggression. The shift in reputation. As you integrate this mindset, your reputation undergoes a profound shift. You are no longer perceived as the one who took the hit, but as the one who was simply too large for the hit to matter. In meetings, your presence becomes a stabilizing force. In negotiations, your ability to maintain a strategic pause forces others to confront their own lack of discipline. In conflict, your stillness dictates the terms of the engagement, leading without a word. True sovereignty is leading without a single word. The most powerful person in the room is invariably the one who needs the least from it. When you embrace the present silence, you set the tempo of the entire floor. The environment begins to mimic your frequency. The noise eventually dies because it has nowhere to land. You are no longer the target, you are the law. Your journey into silence is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about becoming crystal clear. Walk softly through the shadows. Remember that your sovereignty is found in your silence. If you are ready to master your own internal Continental and claim your effective sovereignty, subscribe and join our community of silent achievers. Leave a comment with the word stillness if you've made it this far.